Every full moon, a giant baobab cries blood. Anyone who touches its tears disappears before sunrise. There is a tree in an old African village that nobody is allowed to touch, and especially not the strange red liquid that falls from it every full moon. The villagers call it the mourner, because when the moon becomes full, the ancient baobab begins to cry. But these are not ordinary tears, they are red, and according to the oldest rule in the village, anyone who touches them disappears before sunrise. No body is ever found. No footprints remain.
By morning, some families cannot even remember that the missing person ever existed. But one night, a young hunter decided old people were simply afraid of their own shadows.
He walked into the forest. He found the crying tree, and when a single red tear landed in his hand, the baobab whispered his name. What happened before sunrise became the secret the village tried to bury for generations. And tonight, you are about to hear that story. Aduro was normally a noisy village. Children played between the mud houses. Women sang while grinding grain. Hunters returned before sunset carrying their catch, and every evening, drums echoed across the valley. But on the night of the full moon, the village became silent. Doors were locked, windows were covered.
Cooking fires were extinguished. Even the dogs were pulled inside. Nobody wanted to be outside when the moon reached its highest point. Darren stood at square, watching everyone rush home.
He was young, strong, and known for being fearless. He had killed snakes. He had faced wild buffalo. He had crossed the forest alone. So he found the villagers' fear ridiculous. Why does everyone run from a tree? An old woman named Mama Sira stopped walking. She looked at him.
You should not speak about it.
Darren smiled. It's a tree.
And no, it is something that learned how to look like one. Tonight, stay inside.
Why?
Because the tree cries. Do not touch what falls from its branches.
That night, Darren made a decision. He would go to the baobab. He would prove that the entire village had been frightened by an old story. But as he left his house, he didn't notice the old woman watching him from her doorway, and she whispered something that he could not hear.
May the tree forgive you.
The forest was unusually quiet. Darren walked beneath the moonlight, holding a lantern. The deeper he went, the colder the air became. No insects, no wind, nothing. Then he saw it. The baobab. It stood alone in the clearing, huge, ancient, almost impossible to believe it was alive. His confidence disappeared. Something about the tree felt wrong. Its branches moved slightly, but there was no wind. Then, something fell onto the ground.
Darren swallowed. So the stories are true. Then something strange happened. The drops stopped. Every single one. Silence returned. Darren stood, and then he heard a voice. He froze. The voice had come from behind him. He turned. Nobody was there.
Darren.
This time, the voice came from inside the tree. He stepped backward.
The bark seemed to move, almost like something was breathing beneath it. Then a handprint slowly appeared on the trunk, from the inside. The tree whispered his name again, but this time,
It sounded exactly like his mother's voice. Darren.
Darren ran. He didn't look back. He sprinted through the forest until he reached the village. He slammed against his door. Mama Sira was standing outside. She looked at him.
Then she looked at his hands. Her face changed.
What did you touch?
Nothing.
Show me your hands. You touched it!
No!
You touched the tears.
I didn't!
Get inside!
What is happening?
The tree knows you now.
The village elder was summoned. His name was Baba Temba. He examined the mark without touching it. Then he whispered,
27 years.
What?
27 years since the last person came back. Back from where? No one knows.
Everyone went silent. It was the symbol of an eye on Darren's hand. Baba Temba's face went pale. The tree has chosen again. Before sunrise, Darren was locked inside Baba Temba's house. Nobody slept. The elders sat around him. They watched the mark on his hand. Everyone rushed outside.
A young girl named Amara was standing. She was crying in the middle of the night.
My brother, where is he?
He followed me.
What?
He heard someone calling his name.
Who?
Jonah.
Jonah was only 9 years old, and he was missing. Nobody wanted to go looking for him, because everyone knew where he had gone. The baobab.
Darren looked at his marked hand. The red symbol had changed. It was no longer an eye. It was a footprint. A tiny child's footprint.
Bring him home.
Darren turned. Nobody was there. But Mama Sira had heard it too. She looked at him.
Baba Temba finally told the truth. The baobab had not always been cursed. Long ago, Aduro had been dying from famine. The people had no food, no rain, no hope.
Then a mysterious woman arrived. She offered the village protection. But she demanded one thing. A promise. Every generation, the village had to leave an offering beneath the baobab. Not food, not gold. A memory. The villagers agreed.
For centuries, the ritual continued, until one generation refused. That night, the tree began to cry, and the first person disappeared, then another, then another.
The elders eventually discovered something terrifying. The tree wasn't taking people's lives, it was taking their memories. Those who disappeared were forgotten. Their families forgot their names, their faces, their existence, as if they had never been born.
Something knocked beneath the floor. Thump. Another knock. Thump. There are roots beneath this house. The knocking continued.
Then a child's voice came from underneath.
Please.
Amara began crying. It was Jonah. But his voice came from beneath the ground.
Please remember me.
The villagers dug beneath the house. They found an enormous root. It was black, twisted, and warm.
Everyone, step back from it now!
Darren touched the root. The moment his fingers touched the root, the world changed. He saw people, hundreds of them, men, women, children, all standing beneath the baobab.
They were silent. Their faces were expressionless. Among them was Jonah.
Jonah! Jonah!
The elders gathered in secret. They revealed the oldest story. The first ancestors of Aduro had made a promise to the mysterious woman. But they had not offered a memory.
They had offered something much darker. They had given her the memory of a murder. A terrible betrayal committed by the founders of the village. Then, generations later, the elders erased the story. The tree began demanding the truth.
I understood that the tree isn't hungry for people. It is hungry for the truth. So if the truth is told,
the villagers ran out. The moon was directly above them, and every person in Aduro had begun walking toward the forest. Nobody could stop themselves. The tree was calling. Hundreds of villagers walked toward the baobab. Their eyes were open, their faces are empty. Children walked beside the elders. Nobody spoke.
Darren tried to stop them, but every person continued. Then he saw Jonah. The boy was walking at the front. Darren grabbed him. Jonah turned. His eyes were filled with tears.
Behind him, the tree began to cry. Blood fell like rain, and every drop that touched the ground produced a whisper. Names, hundreds of names. People the village had forgotten. The baobab moved. Its roots became legs. Its branches twisted. But Darren stayed. What do you want? She pointed toward the tree.
One memory.
Which one?
The truth from the person who knows it.
I know the final truth.
The mysterious woman had not been killed by the ancestors. She had survived, and Baba Temba's own ancestor had imprisoned her beneath the tree. The village had spent generations pretending she was dead.
The tree screamed, a sound so deep that the ground shook. Then every person who had disappeared began emerging from the roots. But there was one problem. The sun was beginning to rise.
Darren searched desperately for Jonah. He found him beneath the tree. The boy was barely visible. Roots surrounded him. Darren grabbed his hand. The roots tightened.
There was blood everywhere. Darren realized something. The curse only claimed those who touched the tree's tears willingly. So he closed his eyes, and instead of fighting the tree,
Reads the tree mind, and the tree released all the captive that has been there for generations, including Jonah, and they all remember their name again.
Morning came. The baobab stood silent. Its branches no longer moved. Its bark no longer bled. For the first time in centuries,
The villagers gathered around it.
Baba Temba told them, never erase the truth again. From that day forward, the story of the murdered traveler became part of Aduro's history. Her name was remembered. Some curses survive because evil is powerful. Others survive because people refuse to remember. But the story... A child was playing near the old baobab. She noticed something strange. A single red drop appeared on the trunk. She called her mother.
Come and see!
Her mother ran toward her.
I remember you.
To this day, people in Aduro say the baobab still stands. It no longer cries every full moon, but the elders maintain one final warning. If you ever find yourself walking through an African village, and someone tells you never to approach an ancient baobab after dark, listen.
They tell you never to touch anything falling from its branches. Listen. And if you ever see a red tear fall from a tree that should not be bleeding, do not touch it.
Because some stories are not meant to be tested. Some places remember the dead. Some trees remember the truth. And sometimes, the thing crying in the darkness isn't asking you to save it. It's asking you to remember. So if you ever hear a whisper beneath a full moon,
calling your name from beneath an ancient tree, whatever you do not answer. Before you go, if you have not subscribed to African Tales 001, subscribe now and join us for more terrifying African myths, legends, mysteries, history, Nollywood-inspired stories, and AI-animated African movies. If you love horror, African legends, Nollywood, movies, and African stories, don't keep this story to yourself. Like the video, share it with someone who loves scary stories. And subscribe to African Tales for more stories where Africa's tales come alive. But remember, the next time you see an ancient baobab beneath a full moon, don't touch the tears. And whatever you do, don't answer if it calls your name.